Hello everyone, welcome back. Sorry for the delay. We are here for the first practice session of the Mexican Grand Prix event, I guess you could say. Finally, we start the stream. We are a few minutes in, but also there has been a red flag that we've just come away from. So it's, yeah, the timer didn't stop, of course, but we didn't have anything to commentate over. But Heichler, there was damage on the circuit. What happened there?
I guess it was from Dragovic. Like, he went out from the pit and immediately in, and I saw the mechanics working on his floor. So I guess the first debris was from Dragovic, and then Antonelli ran over it as well and got more debris on the track, I think.
Right, okay, I see. So, yeah, not ideal. Damage for many cars, and as you said, Antonelli went over it, so Antonelli might have a bit damage to the bottom of their car. Mercedes, after having a pretty, not terrible weekend, but not a great weekend last time around in America, they've got a lack of floor on both of their cars. George Russell notably not having the upgraded floor that they were meant to have because of that big crash. But yeah, hopefully there's no more issues for them as a team and they can get this weekend underway and maybe look for a good result. Regarding who's going to be getting a good result, who looks fastest, I don't know. Obviously it's easy to say Ferrari and McLaren will be up there. I did want to say before the weekend that it was McLaren's race to lose in USA, but I really don't think it was. I really think I was wrong there. We've got the Ferraris who are so quick. Also Ferrari. Interesting that they've got Leclerc out and Behrman in. What do you think of that, Heischler? I don't really see why you're going to take out a championship contender, but it must have been maybe an agreement beforehand?
Yeah, it has to be because if personally, I would take out Sainz since he's just not gonna drive for Ferrari next season as well. So, yeah, would it just make more sense to keep Leclerc in so he get to know the track better, has more free practice time, and get in a rhythm for it?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, but there must be an agreement, and ultimately we've just come from a sprint, and Leclerc did pretty well. So if he's then got 2 hours to practice for the race instead of 1 hour, I'm sure he'll be absolutely fine. He did get pole here last time around, of course, and I will just quickly get that time for you. A 17.166, is that correct?
That's
Yeah, pole position.
That's gonna be beaten if they are already on the 127 on hards.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, obviously they're going to be doing race runs now. I'm going to get the FP2 results from last year in a second as well. It's Oscar Piastri having a few problems in the S section. The S section very different to what we're used to seeing in the F1 game. A lot more angled, if you like. You've got to work a lot harder to make it through. Some people would prefer that. Some people may be happy with the situation that we've got. Looking at the FP2 times from last season, a 118.6 is what we got from Verstappen. In the FP3 session, we got a 117.8 from Max Verstappen. It says lap record here for me. Valtteri Bottas a 17.774. I assume that's a race lap record, not a qualifying lap record.
What did you say again? What's the poll of last season?
17.1.
I guess that's race like.
It wasn't a 17.1 actually. No, it's not. It's just really not. The poll time for Charles Leclerc was an 18.401. I do apologise. So I don't know where I've got a 17.1 from. That was the poll, and it was actually a Ferrari 1-2 in qualifying. Can they do that again?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're gonna be able to do that again since the nature of this track. Will be really close. So it's remarkable that they did it last season, but it is very difficult around such a track to get a 1-2 again.
Who do you think will be the fastest this weekend? Do you think it's going to be a mix, or do you think a certain team is going to be the superior one?
I don't think there will be a superior one. I do think, no one said it so far I know, but I do think Mercedes will be a lot more up there than compared to USA, since this track is a way more flat and smooth, like not a lot of bumps. Whilst Ross, so I'm calling it already. Yeah, I think it's gonna be close between Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren, and I don't think Red Bull will be close, to be honest. If I look at already troubles for Max when we saw it in the pit.
Possibly. Just a quick update on the session right now. Got a bit of traffic with Valtteri Bottas and the Williams. I don't know which Williams that is. Is that Pinto? I will just double check. It will be. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I won't know. Anyway, going back to that, what we were just talking about, Mercedes, looking through what they've said coming into this weekend, they're kind of optimistic, but at the same time, George Russell, without that upgrade from last week, of course, because it was absolutely destroyed, they're not expecting a massive amount. With Red Bull, Max Verstappen has won 3 races in a row and 5 races in his entire career around this circuit. So if anyone has the knowledge to be able to defy the odds around this circuit, it is him and it is Red Bull. I just don't think they would have the pace in that car. I reckon they can get a podium. I reckon they can still get a podium, but I don't know if they'll be able to win this race. I think Mercedes are unfortunately going to be a bit further back, at least with one of the cars with the damage, but if anything went completely crazy, then they'll definitely be there ready to go to take that position, like we've seen a few times this season. Yeah, for me, it's got to be between Ferrari and McLaren. And if we can go off, the theory of your last race is your best or your current performance, then, well, Ferrari should be able to do pretty well on this circuit. But with tyres and stuff and temperatures being difficult, I should probably say the McLaren, with the kind of beast it's been in the past, with race management in the long run, it should be pretty good, no?
It's hard to say after the last race at the USA, where Ferrari, in my opinion, was way better on his tires than the McLaren.
Hmm.
And to come back on Mercedes again, yes, one car doesn't have the floor, but I believe Hamilton doesn't have the new floor now, and he actually had no good word about it, whilst he still opted to keep his new floor.
Hmm.
So I'm interested to see if it's actually that much of an improvement compared to the old floor.
Hmm.
Yeah, I will see during the weekend. I think this practice session will be difficult to say since Antonelli is in the car.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm interested to see.
Yeah, for sure. We will find that out very, very soon. Of course, we've got, as you said, Antonelli, and we've got many other junior drivers or just external drivers from the Formula One world. We've got Schwartzman, we've got Award, we've got Behrman, we've got Drugovich, who we haven't seen for a while, and Antonelli. All except, sorry, one, two. I'm trying to count. Yeah, all of them are at the very bottom end of the current grid right now, except from that is Lance Stroll, I believe, who is currently last. So they've got... I'm just trying to get everything together, sorry. I do apologise.
The last three don't have time yet.
Yeah,
Just saying.
yeah. So I'm just trying to get everything up on my screen now. I got a bit mixed up, yeah. So they're currently at the back, but they haven't set their laps just yet. But they will be doing that as Behrman goes and sets a lap and brings themselves up. We've got Ocon just going up to... no, Colapinto just going up to P12 right there. Williams with a lovely new livery as well, looking like the old days with the 90s to 80s kind of vibes with the yellow engine cover. Anyway, sorry, I do apologise, I'm absolutely waffling. I'm going to try and gather my thoughts. Heisler, I don't know. Is there anything that you can talk about while I quickly go and sort something?
The only thing I can talk about is that this is a low grip track, so there are some few drivers that we know are particularly good at low grip tracks, like Bottas and Perez. So I'm actually interested to see if Bottas will do really good somehow on this track. He is now in P6, so with only 2 times behind Perez, it's hard to say anything about these times since the grip is still really low. And ooh, Sainz is off. Sainz is in the wall.
Ooh.
No, it's not Sainz.
No, it's Williams.
Albon. It's Albon.
That's nasty. That is nasty. It's a. Oh no. Oh, it was. It was Behrman as well.
Oh, sorry, Behrman.
But so Behrman and Albon have maybe come together. Albon is hard into the wall. Behrman's car is not going to be making it for the rest of the session unless they're lucky to get the last 10 minutes. But yeah, Albon is really not in a good position right now.
I thought I missaw it with the red car, but I wasn't. I think they made contact. Looking at the front tire of Behrman.
Yeah, we'll hopefully get a replay, but that Williams is going to be destroyed. I don't know if they're going to be able to get FP2 in. I mean, these mechanics are incredibly quick, so they might be able to get the job done, but that is a hell of a smash into the barrier at turn 10, that is. So Behrman crashing out or retiring the car, getting out of the car at 10-11, so they've obviously had some sort of come together, unless it was kind of like an impeding. I'm not entirely sure what was going on there, but we'll see. Red flag for now. Williams not going to be happy with that one. More damage, cost to their cost cap that they will get a disadvantage of. Looks like Alex Albon's on his way to get a bit more money spent on the team as he's about to cross the track. I think he's probably going to get fined for that one.
I think he's allowed since everyone is in the garage now.
Oh, he's maybe
And he's actually not crossing the line.
No, he got in the car, so then that makes a bit more sense. I think if he crossed the track, he might be in a bit of trouble. Not entirely sure what Oliver Behrman's doing, but he's definitely stood on the track. Not entirely sure to do. Oh, he didn't get a ride. He didn't get a ride. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't want to get in the same car as the guy that I've just been involved in an incident with. I thought so.
Oh.
I thought it would be an impeding moment. So Albon has basically got distracted by Behrman, who's been sat pretty close to the line, and goes straight into the side of him and then sends himself into the barrier. I don't know. Can you really blame Behrman for that?
I think it's a bit of a rookie mistake, you can call it. Like, it's you only really realize when you're in the car how bad the dirty air might be when you're behind someone. And I think Schwarzman, how do you say it, didn't take it into account enough that the dirty air is really bad.
Right.
And that just caused, I think, Albon to lose his rear. But talking about that Williams livery, I just saw it for the first time, and indeed, it does look really good.
Yeah, it is very nice. It's a bit of a throwback to the previous times. I just quickly double check with the chat there. I've just double checked that, Tom. I'm not entirely sure where that was, where those noises were. So hopefully that's either fixed or I don't know. I think we're good to go. Anyway, currently 34 minutes on the clock. As I will say again, we don't get a pause timer, so these guys are just going to have to be sat there waiting for the timer to run out, and hopefully they can get more time or more driving in the session. But with that barrier being very, very badly destroyed at turn 10, we're probably not going to be going again for a fair bit of time. It was, what circuit was it? We had a race where we basically got laps in the final kind of two minutes of the session. I want to say it was Zandvoort. I think it might have been Zandvoort where we just got 2 minutes of setting laps, but I have to double check that one for later on. But yeah, two red flags. One is going to be definitely longer than the other one. So just looking at other things that we can go through while we get this glorious moment of no green flags, which is just not glorious at all. High altitude. We already, I think Heish already mentioned about the wings. Is it no? Okay, so high altitude, it's got a lot of effects driver-wise but also car-wise, so it's going to make it very difficult for especially the new drivers in this session to breathe whilst they're driving that car. More importantly, of course, for the drivers in the actual race itself, that's what will be the bigger struggle. But for these new drivers who are now going to have a lot of time to relax, it's going to make it quite difficult for them to drive. But tire temperatures with the track temperatures that can come around on this circuit, a little bit of cloud can make the circuit very normal, but no cloud can make it really boiling hot. It does make it a difficult circuit to drive. Heish, you've got a mix of straights and very technical corners coming from the F1 game. How is that setup wise? Does it make it difficult in more places than others?
You can, like, in the history we always had like two setups, high speed or low speed setup for the straights. The high altitude doesn't really have an effect in the game, so it's always just choosing between one of them. I believe this game is a bit different, like you rather have a bit of a mix of both, not really too high, not too low, since the metas are just different.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, is it difficult to set up for low speed and high speed? I don't feel like it is, because most of the corners are quite long, so you set up for really long corners, really long turning time, and yeah, I don't really have issues with setting that up, to be honest.
No. So, in a race situation, do you think you could beat most people in a straight line, ERS wise as well? Obviously, we're talking about the F1 game here, but I don't know how that would be saving wise.
It doesn't really matter. It's really easy to save the arrest. Just yeah, it's if you just stay behind someone and keep it on none, you already are nearly on 100%, I believe, after one lap. If you like really trained it
I see.
before it, so I don't think high wings or low wings really do matter too much for that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All good. Right, now we're going to have a quick look at the current situation as we wait. 30 minutes on the clock. We've got Carlos Sainz leading the way, a tenth ahead of George Russell. That is a 19.407. And just to quickly refresh of last year's practice 2 time, as we can't get the practice 1 time on the current thing that I'm looking at. I'll go and double check it in a second. An 18.6. So we're not massively far away, 8 tenths away, and we've still got quite a bit of time left on the clock. Then we've got Albon, who was doing a phenomenal job until the moment that we just had, obviously. Verstappen and Perez right up there, Bottas up there, Magnussen. I would say Bottas is doing a great job to be up there, but we're so early into the session, even though we're not actually that early into the session with the 2 red flags. There's not a massive amount of time for everybody to get these laps in, but also we've got a few FP1 drivers, of course, the external drivers coming in. So it does mean that the times are a little bit more skewed.
Yeah, I already mentioned Bottas indeed, that he is well known to be really good at low grip tracks, whilst the car is going into the wall. Okay, that put me off a little bit, but yeah, Bottas is well known to be really good at low speed track or low grip tracks, and he has been good around this track before. I think he has won 1 race around here as well. I'm not sure.
Valtteri Bottas?
Yeah.
No, he was on for possible pole, I think, in 2019 with Max Verstappen as well, but then he had a little bit of a whoopsie, quite a big whoopsie with the barrier, but he didn't actually win around.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, no, never won.
Ah, that's interesting, because on every other low grip track, I believe he nearly has won. So, and I mentioned Perez with it as well. He is similar to that. That low grip, he will do really well, and it will help that it's also his home race where his home fence will be.
Yeah, well, we'll see if he can make it through the first corner this time. Just to double check the lap times from the FP1 session from last year, we had a 19.7 from Max Verstappen and 19.8 from Alex Albon. So we're way past those laps. It would have been nice to see what tyre they were on, but unfortunately I can't quite see that. So we're not going to bother going too far into that. We did also see 5 rookie drivers going in to do testing as well, so it seems to be, I think it's just one of those circuits that lots of cars do testing at, to be honest. So that's yeah, why it's a bit of a shame, because it does mean that those cars maybe in the championship battles do lose out. It would have possibly been nicer to see them in a little bit earlier in the season, but it's going to happen. There's nothing you can really do about it, and they are still racing drivers. They'll still be able to give the team the information that they need, unless you get a red flag. But that's the same for absolutely every driver anyway. Looking at the laps we've currently done, 10 laps for Ocon. We've got 10 laps, 11 laps for Ocon. No, 10 laps for Ocon, 11 laps for Carlos Sainz. There you go, I finally get it right. We've got 10 laps for a lot of other drivers as well, but having the least laps right now is Schwartzman, and that will also be Lance Stroll. So Aston Martin actually combined, they are not going to be in a good position right now with basically no running. Whereas Carlos Sainz, of course, as a single driver should be good. I'm just trying to think combined. I think it's going to be Racing Bulls that have the most lap times in combined. They've got 20 laps together.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that, like, from last weekend, the Williams and Racing Bulls drivers are just like swapped around.
Yeah.
Albon had a really poor weekend in Kota, whilst Colapinto had an insanely good one. And the same goes for Lawson and Tsunoda. But now they are literally the other way around, and I feel like both Albon, and even though he went now into the wall, both Albon and Tsunoda are kind of waking up and thinking, oh, I have to do better here because I want to keep that seat I have now, or
Yeah.
maybe for Tsunoda get to Red Bull.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I think Alex is at least safe for this season. He's gonna keep it for next season. It's just whether they will still be driving for 2026. That's a bit different. That being said, contracts are a thing. But Alex isn't a bad driver at all. And I think it's just a bit of a blip. If you look at the weekend overall, you can only really compare Colapinto and Alex with qualifying because Alex had damage in that race, so he wasn't really able to do much about that. Obviously, they did crash. They did cause that incident, but it still made their performance fall down a lot. Sonoda, oh my days, sorry. Sonoda, on the other hand, it's a little bit more of a mix, so we'll see. But everyone has their bad weekends, everyone has their good weekends. Currently, Alex Albon, pace-wise, was looking for a great weekend. Wall-wise, not looking for a great weekend. Seems pretty frustrated as well as they got out the car.
Oh, I love that. I love that racing suit. I gotta say, I really love it.
It's a nice suit. He crashed in style. I guess that's the benefit. But you don't want to crash because I just saw the replay again. That is a really, really big crash for a car, especially at the rear end where the gearbox is. So that's going to be a long repair. Behrman is going to be able to get in for, or no, sorry, Leclerc's going to be able to get in for the next session. Probably Behrman can't continue in this session. But oh my days, I don't think that Williams is going to be able to make it to the next session. It's going to have to be driving tomorrow, unless they pull off an absolute miracle.
Yeah, it's interesting that we have had multiple crashes this year where you would wonder if the gearbox is damaged or not. But I feel like I've never actually heard about any of those crashes that the gearbox was damaged or something. I don't know if anyone had to get a grid penalty for changing it, except for Russell now then starting from the pit. But that is for multiple reasons, I think. Yeah, quite interesting. Usually, if those crashes happen, you kind of hear it a lot that they are short on gearboxes, but I don't really hear it much this year.
No, I agree, and I think that's probably a slight factor, and it could be a benefit, and that's why maybe Albon can make it to FP2, if not just a little bit of FP2. But I think a lot of it will also be gearbox integration. You've still got to get everything repaired, and then the gearbox kind of molded in with everything. So that's going to be something that will have to be worked on. We've got a bit of a side-by-side moment as Max Verstappen does a lovely move on the outside of his teammate, almost has a look on the inside of Carlos Sainz. We are green flag racing, and everyone is on a bit of a rush right now.
Calm down, Max. Calm down.
Yeah.
You don't want to end up like Behrman and Albon now.
Yeah, we've just come out from a red flag, and he looks like he's sending it in the third sector, which is a kind of a rule that you don't really abuse. You know, if you get into sector 3, although it's more a qualifying thing, if you want to set fast laps, usually everybody just kind of sits where they are in that third sector, not really wanting to follow that rule. Eventually it is settled, and Carlos Sainz maintains the lead out of the two drivers and will start their fast lap. Verstappen's going to end up backing up everybody else behind him, though. So now we've just got a standstill of loads of cars, as you can see on the mini-map right there.
Yeah, like if it was against a title rival, I would maybe do the same, like to Taisi or something if we had practice session, just to annoy him or to get in his head. But well, I don't really understand why Max did that to Sainz. Like, just warm up your own tires, I guess. Like, why would you actually do that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he wanted to just get a lap in. He's had plenty of times in the past where he's been on cue to maybe get pole, especially around this circuit in 20. Ooh, was it 2019? Because he lost out to pole to Leclerc. But I think it might have been another year as well. Well, anyway, he's had it plenty of times where he's been on cue to get pole, and then there's been a red flag or a yellow flag that's prevented him from setting a fast lap. So he just wants to set fast laps and get stuff done. I think that's maybe what he's looking for. Of course, it is practice, so it's not really going to make a difference. Interestingly, Verstappen hasn't done any purple sectors. Carlos Sainz, purple in the middle sector. Russell, purple in the first sector. Carlos Sainz improves ahead of Tsunoda as they're all on the soft tyres. So we are expecting people to go a lot quicker as Verstappen does go P2, but currently Russell is absolutely flying.
I was saying it before that the Mercedes could be a dark horse in this round, with Piastri now slotting in behind. So I can't speak behind Max. 9 tenths to Russell. Piastri, or Russell had really set an insane lap time.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We've got Colapinto almost making it 2 Williams in a wall. But luckily doesn't get the job done. Hülkenberg up to P4, so maybe the McLaren's not got the most representative lap time. It's very similar to Piastri's time overall. But yeah, I don't know. That's a pretty decent lap right there from Russell, and it was 3 purple sectors, because Verstappen did end up getting a purple sector in the final sector, but only provisionally, as Russell took that away. So yeah, we'll see. But Williams right there having a bit of an instability situation going on as they went into the final section of the circuit.
Yeah, I'm surprised about the gap still. It's like I said before, a really short track actually. We don't know fuel loads obviously, but it's a big substantial gap, to be honest. And I'm wondering if McLaren or Ferrari have an answer to what Mercedes is showing now.
Yeah, I do wonder, but we won't be able to see. You're not going to be able to see the true pace until FP3 in qualifying. But I think, would you say Hamilton's maybe going to be pushing a little bit harder to try and catch up and might show a bit of their true pace? Could we see them maybe show the colours of that? I'm just going to try and sort something, so I do apologise, Heisler. I think if I try to hand over to you, it might not display your voice. I'm just going to try and see if I can fix that, and hopefully that's all good. There shouldn't be any problems now. We should be absolutely fine. Anyway, just looking at the current grid, of course we've got Hülkenberg up there, so Piastri's time is either not representative for what that McLaren can do, or Russell is absolutely flying. We've got Carlos Sainz on a pit out lap at the moment, so they're going to be going for another fast lap and maybe try and prove those Mercedes wrong and show that the Ferrari is still the boss of the last few races.
I gotta say, it's hard to sometimes notice if you're like stop talking or not, because your mic is a little bit lagging. But
that's what I was trying to fix. To apologise.
I believe Sainz went into the pits but stayed in the fast lane and then went out again. I believe they did this before. Not sure if it was Mexico as well, but they just tried to cool down the tires and the car that way, just putting less load in it. And I will see if the softs are still good for another lap. But it does mean, compared to Max and Russell, that both, oh, and Piastri, that both Sainz and Hulkenberg had more fuel in the car than the others. I think it's still hard to guess, but I do feel like then you would have more fuel in the car.
Yeah, it would make sense. We look at the time, 16 minutes on the clock. Everybody's going to either continue to do these longer runs, and well, I say that not continue to do the long runs. I want to say maybe look at going for faster simulations. Would you want to do a qualifying simulation in FP1? I mean, going back to, I think, was it Azerbaijan? We saw everybody almost never go out on the hard tyre unless it was a different circuit. I can't remember, but there was 2 consecutive races. Basically, no car went out on the hard tyre in practice. Then after the race, they all complained that the hard tyre was horrendous. And then the next weekend, they all spent a load of time on the hard tyre, and the hard tyre is actually great. We'll see. But right now, we've done a few hard tyre runs, and now everybody's hopped on to the soft tyres. I'm just interested to see. I must be. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely tripping. I do apologise. I'm not even going to mention that because that was completely silly. About the lap times, not the lap times, the amount of laps and the tyre ages. Anyway, we continue. I've managed to get away from that absolutely abysmal judgment, and we continue to see improvements. We've got Bottas looking for an improvement lap. We've got Schwartzman on a hard tyre lap, so they're looking to get the race distance runs, whilst Bottas is looking to get the lap time runs, and they go P6, and they aren't too far away from Piastri, so I think that's pretty conclusive. No offence to the Saubers, but it's pretty conclusive that the McLaren's lap time isn't actually representative.
Yeah, I'm listening to the board radio now. They were talking about continuous laps.
Okay.
So I do think
Race fuel.
they might have more fuel in that run.
Mm-hmm.
Since I don't know on what lap it was, but I would guess it was from the soft run. Otherwise, it's a bit weird to like just show that board radio with now Tsunoda actually in P3 and Bottas in P7 as well, and Sainz closer to Russell.
Yeah, it's all mixing up. We've just got a new purple final sector there from Sainz as Tsunoda momentarily held it. I just completely I forgot what I was thinking. Heischler, strategy-wise, I don't know if I want to try and see if I can update myself on last year's strategy, but I assume for the Formula 1 race it's going to be a 2-stop.
I can't remember actually if it was a 2-stop round.
I'm just thinking about the tyre wear around this circuit. Historically, it would probably make it quite difficult.
Yeah, the temps are quite high, so I think it's a 2-stop. You would just use the tires a lot more, and you will hit the first cliff a lot quicker than on other tracks. So it would be logical to do on 2-stop. But I guess now seeing the McLaren on a new set of softs, I think other teams will follow that as well. So we will see what the rest will have now. Oh, it's what? I'm sorry. I thought it was Piastri actually.
No worries. Just having a look, and I can not confirm the pit stops. I wanted to try and confirm the pit stops, but I guess we won't quite see it. We'll have to double check that for the FP2 session. But
wasn't there also 2 safety cars or something in that race, like somewhere at the beginning and somewhere at the end?
I can't remember. I mean, we had collision damage between Lance Stroll, well, not collision damage between Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso because it was on very different laps. But we've had, we had Sergio Perez, Kevin Magnussen out of the race. Definitely a safety car after Kevin Magnussen's issue. And then we had a retirement from Alonso, Stroll, and Logan Sargent. So yeah, I think that's pretty a pretty good suggestion that there were at least 2 safety cars. I'll make sure I get that double checked though for the FP2 session. I apologise for not knowing that, although it is yeah, something that we won't really look at until later on in the weekend anyway. O'Ward is out on track at the moment. They're currently P20 with no lap time. Can I see that correctly, or am I seeing that completely wrong?
Yes.
Yeah, so no lap
Yes.
time, and they're going to try and compare themselves to Oscar Piastri, the full-time driver. Can we see O'Ward, who was not on the verge, but I think there were mentions in the past that he is maybe going to have a look at being a Formula 1 driver, getting in the McLaren car, but then Oscar Piastri turned up, and that was kind of just all done and dusted. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think Pato O'Ward's going to be getting into Formula 1. It's not going to be impossible, though. We'll see what they can do. Currently 1 second down on George Russell, so not actually that far away from Oscar, but as we've been saying so many times this session so far, Oscar is on a heavy fuel run. So unless O'Ward is also on a heavy fuel run, then it's not going to be so good. Actually loses 0.3 in that final sector.
Yeah, you were talking about if O'Ward had any chance on getting a Formula 1 seat. With McLaren, I don't see it happening, since they have Bortoletto in the wings as well, which I believe he's doing really well in F2 as well. I think he's P2 at the moment, maybe even P1 in the standings in his rookie season. He's fighting, I believe, with Isaac Hadjar from the Red Bull Academy. So I don't see O'Ward having a chance on that seat. Maybe somewhere else, like a Kick or a Haas or something. But other than that, I think he should be happy that he is still in IndyCar, which is a great category as well.
Yeah, it's almost like a kind of a parallel to Formula 1. Lots of people respect it a lot. Would you say it's close to Formula E? I mean, to be honest, I quite like Formula E. I think it's very respectable. Obviously, it's not going to be quite as high up as Formula 1. But yeah, IndyCar and Formula E are the kind of other series that you can really look at, as well as Le Mans, and then you can kind of compare that to Formula 1 and maybe see those drivers join up or join the grid. It's very rare. I think I don't know when the last time we would have seen an IndyCar driver turn up to Formula 1, but I know that I think it was Montoya was definitely one of those.
It could be indeed the last one that went from IndyCar to F1. I know he did, but I don't know if there were any other drivers after that. But talking about those other categories, I would say I still respect the drivers from IndyCar and WEC more than Formula E. Like, nothing against Formula E, but it just, from what I hear and see, it's just a completely different style of racing than the other categories. It's
more of an F1 esports style of driving, where you're all in a massive train and just trying to save behind the car ahead, and then everybody goes for a absolutely mental last few laps. That's kind of how it goes. But it's also difficult because of the street circuits with lots of bumps, and I don't think they have power steering. I know they don't have it in IndyCar.
No, they don't have power steering. I remember Robin Freins, the Dutch driver in there, broken his wrist by hitting a wall, and it was purely because there was no power steering. Like, the hit from the steering wheel was so much stronger than you would get in IndyCar. IndyCar maybe not, but the Formula 1 car, that he just instantly broke his wrist with it.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal in other categories that the F1 drivers are very lucky to get away with. Now, just quickly, 7 minutes on the clock. I'm going to ask you a little bit closer to the end of the session. We'll be joined by Tom later on for FP2. But for FP1, Heischler, will you be able to, in a few minutes, I'll let you think about this one nicely, decide who you think is going to get pole position, but also the race victory. It's very early to say, but we've got to ask it. So I'll give you until, let's say 3 minutes on the clock, then we can ask that question again in a minute.
Yeah.
But right now, we've got lots of drivers coming back out on hard tyres. I don't think we're going to get any more improvements.
Yeah, I wanted to just jump in because there was just a board radio that it's looking like Max has engine problems.
Ooh.
So that could be actually really vital to his weekend if he has to change something. I believe he will get a penalty for it then as well. I'm not sure, but I think he's like on nearly every asset of the power unit he's on his max.
Late in the season, I would expect so.
Yeah, so it would be interesting to see if he actually gets a penalty for that. And now I'm gonna think about that, what you just said, because I'm not sure.
Yeah, it would be very interesting. Max Verstappen not winning many races in recent times. I think the last win was Spain. They come into the pit lane now with some issues. We saw issues, of course, back in Australia with retirement, or not, retirement in the race. But right now, this is at least FP1, so they've got the ability to have a look and maybe fix a few things. But grid place penalties for certain things will definitely be possible, and they're not going to be happy with the car right now. Not happy with the performance as it is, and now they're going to have some more setbacks. So great news if you're a Lando Norris fan, great news if you're a Charles Leclerc fan, but yeah, really quite poor there for the Red Bull side. Unfortunately, we've just had the Aston Martin of Drogovic going very quickly through the last sector, but unfortunately Piastri decided he was going to start his lap as soon as he got through that final sector, and they've ended up impeding them. So Drogovic is now going to sit behind, and they actually back off and be the gentleman and allow the McLaren that's just impeded them to go and kind of set their own lap. So very polite right there from Drogovic, but yeah, a little bit disappointing there. We couldn't see their actual lap time that they were maybe looking to get. They did improve regardless, but I think they were going a lot quicker than we just saw, and they would have been able to beat Albon's time from earlier on. Maybe not any other times, but yeah, it still would have been nice to see.
Yeah, I think Piastri was on a long run, so that's why he didn't went out of the way. Piastri has been running around the track for a long time now on the hards, so I think it just was a unlucky timing, and maybe even more to blame on Dragovic not making the gap big enough to Piastri, so we could have had a clear run.
Yeah, we've also had Russell on a pretty long run as well, exactly the same as Piastri actually, on this hard tyre. So 15 laps for both of these guys. I believe, did they do soft tyre runs already as well? So they've gone back onto the hards. Regardless, we'll see how it goes. But Piastri made a big mistake right there as they went through turn 12, and that's what caused them to slow down so much. So yeah, actually, my bad. I thought Piastri was backing up to start another lap, but no, it was just a mistake there. So I'll be a little bit more patient there with the McLaren. But yeah, there's a lot of understeer in that Aston Martin car.
Yeah, I still think Dragovic should have made a bigger gap towards Piastri. I think even without the mistake of Piastri, he would have been close into the last corner. I would say would definitely have felt the effect of the dirty air, because I feel like it's around 1.5 seconds that you will actually feel the dirty air.
Yeah.
So yeah, bit of a rookie mistake as well from Dragovic.
Yeah, but well, he's a rookie, so you got to go expect that. But yeah, it's the way it goes sometimes in practice, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Now the time has come, Heichler. Who do you think is going to get pole position, and would you dare to guess who would possibly win this race?
I need to say one person for pole, do I?
Top three. You don't have to say exactly where they are. You can just say who you think is going to be within the top three. Because it's FP1, I'll give you a bit of a luxury for that. Tom Robb may not have the same luxury later on.
Okay, so within the top three, I think both Mercedes will be there. And Leclerc. I think those three will be top three in the quali. But in the race, I think we will see a completely different top three. I think no. Let me think about this. I think Norris will win the race. Leclerc P2 and Piastri P3.
Fair enough. I would say for... That's unfair, Tom says. Well, he's just given you the exact order anyway, so it's absolutely fine. It will be nice and fair. I'm going to say... I really don't mind the shout of the Mercedes being up there, of course, in qualifying, but I just don't think they have it in the race. Leclerc, pole converted into a win. I would have said Verstappen will be right up there. Maybe they can get within the top three, but they just have those grid penalties. But I'm going to say Leclerc, Norris, Hamilton, and then I'm going to say Leclerc, Norris, and Piastri. There's my top three for quality in the race.
It's quite similar.
It's
somewhat on the same line.
Yeah, it is similar. I really do actually quite like the shout of the Mercedes being up there, because they have been very rapid, at least in a very short distance. They kind of just ran out of juice in the sprint race, of course, as they drop back. But anyway, just having a quick look at the timings right now. We've only got a few moments on the clock left. We've got a couple of cars, I say pushing, something that isn't really pushing. They're just trying to finish off their lap. If they could get another lap in, that would be great, but I don't think they're going to. They're just going to finish off the session now. As a few cars are getting their final laps in, our final lap will be with Award as they cross the line to finish the session. They are the first car. Then we'll have Gasly coming across the line, and Ocon and Schwartzman. But we're not going to get any improvement. So it is going to be Russell, Sainz, Tsunoda. Then we will have Verstappen, Hülkenberg, Piastri, Ocon, Bottas, Lawson, and Perez finishing off the top 10. Then it's all a little bit mixed up, of course, because we've got the FP1 drivers, also a few retired cars, of course, with Albon and Behrman, but we do see Colapinto, Magnussen, Gasly, Stroll in that mix. So yeah, an interesting one for the FP1 session, but you never know what's going to happen in the early stages. It's all about FP2, FP3, but not even about FP2. It's all about FP3 to see those sessions, to see the kind of representative lap time. So we'll get to see that later on. But thank you very much, Heish. Thank you for your predictions, and good luck. I hope you get the predictions that you want. All the cars will be finishing their laps, and then we'll get a few practice starts. But yeah, thank you very much, Heish.
No worries. I'm happy that I could help you out with co-commentating on the practice session, and I hope I can do it sometime next time as well.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much. It's been great, and I hope you can join us again. And I hope you can join us again, the 4 viewers that are watching right now. It's been a pleasure. We will see you in a few hours' time for the FP2 session, and tomorrow for the FP3 and qualifying session for the Mexican Grand Prix. We've got a yellow. I'm just going to quickly confirm that is practice start, so we don't need to worry about that at all. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much, and we'll see you in a bit.